It's a joy. And a little bit about myself. I have practiced in the field of landscape architecture, landscape design for over 20 years. Even got started even before I graduated from Cal Poly Pomona back in 2001. And then 2008, I joined FormLA because I saw a lot of great opportunities to apply my passion is, which is like using the environment and nature as a medium to apply art to enhance one's life and as well as create a beneficial environment for everybody to enjoy. And recently I've been working on many residential native gardens all throughout the LA basin, and some of them have been featured in the Theodore Payne Native Garden Tours as well as Art of the Garden Tours. And also I had the opportunity to work with Suzanne on the authentic foothill garden at Sierra Madre. It's one of my babies that I'm really proud of. It's great to be able to demonstrate the importance of using California native and apply sustainability into an environment, and so that the the locals can understand the surrounding environment, the importance of uh, you know us humans working together with nature to create a healthy environment for everybody. And I also would like to encourage you to check out FormLA website. There's a lot of great information about what we do, as well as many gardening tips, including maintenance or even gardening design tips. So, and also many links to other great resources. All right. And thanks again. And I would like to introduce Tom. Tom Schumacher is one of our uh, homeowners. And thank you very much, Tom, for allowing us to showcase your beautiful garden.
Thank you, Isara.
All right. So today, if I can share the slide. I brought a lot of great pictures and small clips of videos to give you the experience as if you are the first time visitor or homeowners and what it's like to go through to walk through Tom's garden. Okay, sorry about that.
Jesse here. We do see the PowerPoint, so the screen share is working.
Okay, it is. Okay, can everyone see the first slide?
Yeah, Jesse here. We can see the first slide. If you click the third or fourth icon that has the computer screen, could you try that for me? One more time. Can you go to display settings at the top, maybe? And yeah, just click that.
The first one? Swap.
Yeah, try that.
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, so one of the most important component in garden design is joy. It is, a very important things to consider because that's what we live with it. Every day when you walk out into your garden, it should bring you joy. It should reflect who you are. And Tom's garden is a perfect example of how we incorporated sustainability, joy, and the different aspect of the garden to enhance, your living, as well as a place to reflect who you are as a garden owner. Okay. And then so I brought for you here like many great pictures of the garden, but the videos that I'll be showing were taken recently as I took them on Monday, so you will see that a lot of plants that had, compared to this picture here, had grown so much, and the garden had matured into this almost paradise-like lushness. Okay? Okay. And one thing about, the front yard, the whole idea is that you don't have to see the front yard as just a lawn. You can reclaim it. Bring your living into the front yard. Reclaim the curb. Reclaim the parkway, and put things about you into the gardens. Things that you are connected. You know that you are connected to, and be a good example, so that the other homeowners will also follow your path, and that will contribute a lot of values into your neighborhood. So this first video is will take you through the from the sidewalk into the garden, and I'll also let Tom provide some insight of his experience as homeowner. When I first arrived on Monday, I noticed all the birds are just singing. So like all the sound, the sensories that this garden brought, just really outrageously. Um, so we stopped here at Western Tidy Tip, is one of the native annual wildflowers that we really enjoy. And this is B. Schumacher, who also find a lot of enjoyment in watercolor painting of plants in the garden. Okay. All right. So this next video is as if you're traveling further down the path into the garden.
Isara, we have a request in the chat to ID some of the foliage there.
Sure. I'll be so what you're seeing are like the native Cleveland sage with purple flowers on the right, and then the coyote bush and Santa Cruz Island buckwheat on the left, in front of the wall. And here we are approaching the meditation courtyard, where we incorporated more native plants, as well as some roses that we preserved from Tom and Bee's collection. Okay. Sorry about that. One thing I want to kind of point out is that, you know, sometimes plants would encroach onto the sidewalk, and that's okay too. And we purposely put, you know, plants like sages along the path, so when you brush up against it, it kicks up this perfume-like scent into the air and fill and bring your garden to life. Okay. I apologize for, let's go to the next video. Oops. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, so these are pictures of some of the plants and the view from the corner of the meditation garden. And the idea is to create almost like an outdoor living room in the front yard where you can enjoy your coffee and also enjoy the birds and also interact with your neighbors. And with, you know, the pandemic, this is a perfect example of a space where you can still interact with people at a safe distance. Okay. And is a short video of the perspective where, you know, if you are sitting on the bench, looking out towards the street, but you're still inside a courtyard.
What's really nice is that we have the ability to kind of sit there, have a glass of wine in the evening. People walk by, they wave, but we're still kind of disconnected from the rest of the world.
Right. And that's the, you know, creating that transition between, you know, like the very private of the home and also the public. So this is a great example of what you can do in the front yard so that this is part of your living space.
Which has always been one of the design features of our entire property, is that we really wanted to have additional living space outside. Given where we live in Southern California, you know, most of the time we want to be outside. And so this just creates this ability to be able to do that.
Absolutely. The comfortable, you know, weather that we have, it's perfect for doing that. And this next video is a view from Tom's front step. Okay, as you come out of the house, this is the view of the garden.
I think the other thing that's important is that while we initially went with a native approach, we have a lot of non-natives. I mean, it's obviously the roses, and the roses were bought about 11 years ago for Mother's Day. And they were kind of tucked up in the old lawn toward the front of the property. We dug them out, put them in pots, redid the house, or, you know, we had construction on the house. And then the landscaping came in the front yard, and we were able to kind of disperse them through through the front yard, and it brings us really color all through the year. I mean, we're one of the few places, especially close to the Rose Bowl, that we can say we have roses on New Year's Eve.
That's correct. And it's surprised me too how resilient these roses are, because they've been kind of neglected during the construction period.
Yeah, they went a year without water.
Right. And once we, put them in their new homes. They were given enough space to just really thrive and provide their glories. And then this next video is an interesting perspective because by chance I was walking towards the side yard, and then I happened to turn around and then surprised by that perspective from the driveway, that you can really enjoy the garden. Like any corners of the garden, you would discover something new, that you would discover new plants or um, a new field of beauty. And so this would be like a perspective from, like, as if you just arrived to the site and came out of the car and walking towards the house. So this would be the experience that you get. And some of the plants that we use, I want to point out, in addition to the roses and natives, such as this Artemisia, David's choice. We also use some sculptural succulents that provide shapes and colors throughout the year, and some succulent ground covers like the sedum as well. Okay. Oops. All right. So here are pictures of the before. To the left is a picture before the home renovation with expansive lawn, and then maybe Tom can give us a little bit background of the renovation.
Yeah, so we started with the backyard of knowing that was not going to change. We always had plans that we wanted to remodel the house and change it. It was a traditional kind of home in the neighborhood, big lawn, birch trees that didn't really do very well in our area, and so we were able to redo the house, but then also kind of put in some of the hardscaping that allowed us to go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then the picture to the right was taken after the home renovation, and with the hardscape change. You notice now the driveway is on the left side, and before the driveway was on the right side. To enter the house, you have to walk through the driveway, but with the new renovation, now you have a separate path for the pedestrian. And in addition to that, the garden design, we incorporated a secondary path to allow you to really fully experience the garden. Yeah. And some of the plants that we chose with the natives that brought in a lot of bees and beneficial insects. We also use a lot of non-native plants that can thrive in this climate. Some from South America and some from all the Mediterranean throughout the world. And one thing that I noticed this time is that there are a lot of bees, and Tom and Bee, you did some really interesting research.
Yeah, so we were talking with Isara yesterday, and I mentioned that in the last 2 days, the bee population probably went up 1,000%. On every plant, there are hundreds of bees, and everything from the common small bee to the big black worker bees who love the sage and just kind of hang around and are so gentle, but they're there.
Right. And this is a great opportunity if you have fruit trees incorporating plants such as like this ground cover native sage. I believe it's a variety of black sage, Salvia mellifera, bee's bliss, I believe. And then this plant here, although the flowers are dainty, but the foliage with this green, yellow-green fern-like, feather-like foliage of this Coleonema sunset gold is a great vibrant color to incorporate into the garden. And then this plant in the picture to the right here is the rock purslane. It's native to Chile. It's one of the, again, my favorites. I have many favorites. This one here, like when it flowers, it's so vibrant. That fuchsia color would, locating on top of a long stalk would respond to the wind. So you'll have, dots of fuchsia dancing in the wind as, a car would pass by. Okay. And like I mentioned, we also incorporated some succulent plants such as this golden sword yucca to provide some type of sculptural shape to contrast the softness of the sage or the heavenly breath of heaven. I'm sorry. Like I mentioned, we also incorporated fruit trees into the front yard, and with the increase in bee population, hopefully that will also see the increase in fruit production as well. Like what Tom mentioned earlier, that we want to bring functionality into the front yard, and that was one of the goals that was given to me when we started designing. So treat your front yard like maybe an outdoor living space. Reclaim it so that you can enjoy your whole property fully. And like take advantage of the climate. We can basically live outdoor, every day throughout the year. And so, it's perfect to have, an outdoor living room where the sky is your ceiling and the birds and bees are your guests. Okay. And so, the outcome of the front yard is this, series of paths that encourage you to explore and to really connect with your garden. And the plants, choosing the type of plants that can thrive in the climate of your where your home is, and also choose them because they have some type of connection to who you are. Like for example, we incorporated the roses back into the garden because they have very profound meaning to Tom and bees. They were bought during Mother's Day of every year the last 11 years. So I think that was such a beautiful symbolic element in the garden that we should consider when we design the garden. So now we're gonna go into the backyard, and so the first video that I have here is by chance I started at the landing outside of Tom and Bee's master bedroom. So this would be like an experience as if you are a homeowner coming out of your bedroom early in the morning. Come on. And so directly outside the master bedroom is this spa courtyard with a spa and and a little patio with a chase lounger. And just a short walk from the spa patio is this fire pit patio. And here's a picture of how Tom and Bee enjoyed the patio.
Every morning we're out there.
And yeah, and the fun thing about this patio is the fire pit. You know, even though we live in in a dry and warm climate zone, you know, it still gets quite chilly in the evening. So the fire pit allows us to really fully enjoy the patio even when it's a little chilly outside, and also extend the use all throughout the winter time as well. And as you notice, some of the plants that we chose for around the patio, they are a combination of like shade, semi-shade living plants like the coral bells. There are some the Dianella tasmanica, or the lily flax, or the flax lily. I think that's the name. I may have gotten all mixed up. And again, hummingbird sage, some of those plants can thrive as a understory. And later I'll show you the how the garden has evolved from being a sunny backyard to a semi-shady backyard after, it's been almost 10 years after we designed this garden. And here's a short video of the fire pit patio. Here's a vegetable garden, kind of tucked in between all the plants. And the fun thing about this garden is that throughout the garden path, you'll find surprises all throughout, and this is one of them. Even though it's a very simple steel construction for this raised planter, it's kind of almost blend in with the mulch or the garden. But once you see it, it's quite a unique structure. And one thing I want to point out, that whenever I designed or plan the location for a vegetable planter, I keep in mind that at certain time of year when you go through a transitional time between seasons, some vegetable don't look so good, and so the location for the vegetable garden is very important. So that sometimes you don't want to put it too close to an area where you'll be looking out from the house all the time, because the veggie garden can sometimes look very unattractive when you're going through the changes in season. Here's a picture of Tom enjoying picking vegetable. And then the next video is of the center of the garden. Yeah, so this backyard garden used to be mostly lawn, and so we designed this garden to be lawnless and incorporated a large patio area of gravel where you can have a large dining table or even a larger group gathering. And here is a new fountain that Tom can tell us how much it weighs.
So this was my pandemic a year ago. Like, what am I going to do staying at home for the next whatever months? So on the Theater of Pain tour last year, there was an individual who had a wheel stone, a grinding stone that I went, oh, that would look really good in here. And then I found this from a place in New Mexico and had it shipped and ended up installing it myself.
And you did a great job, and it's perfect location because you can, sitting at the dining table or in the covered patio, the sound of water had really added so much to the whole ambience of the two spaces. And another nice thing about having a water feature so close to where you can see it is that sometimes you get to see wildlife enjoying the water as well.
Yeah, we have all sorts of animals that come in, drink from all the fountains. Sometimes I kind of wonder what happens because they're emptied in like a day, and I realize what, some animal came and drank a lot of water. So it's kind of nice. And then the birds also, the one in the back by the fire pit is the favorite place for them to bathe in the morning. So when we're out there with our coffee, they're in the water, flapping around and cleaning up.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Here's a picture of, again, Bee enjoying watercolor of plants that we use in the garden. This picture of the picture of the kind of fuchsia flowers to the far left is hummingbird sage. It's a native ground cover sage that we use often in a semi-shade area. So it will thrive underneath oak forest, so it can thrive underneath tree canopy. It's a great, a great plant if you love hummingbirds. That's why it got the name. And then,
which we have a lot of. I mean, that's one of the things, throughout the year, we have a very large population of hummingbirds, all which we don't feed through a feeder. We feed through the flowers that are in our garden.
Absolutely. And then the picture to the in the middle is I believe it's a very young bud of coral bell or island alum root. And then the picture of Bee standing in front of I believe is a combination of lilac verbena and Westringia fruticosa, I believe. Which all of these plants, again, at one point, some of the plants were placed in a sunny area like the Westringia, but now the garden had evolved into a semi-shade. So some plants had transitioned out of that, the sunny garden and was able to adapt to the semi-shade, such as I believe I still saw the Westringia here and there in the garden.
Isara, we have a question for Tom about whether or not he finds it difficult to control the native plants.
Control them? No, I mean, honestly, the natives are the easiest to deal with. I mean, I don't cut them back until after they've seeded because the birds just love all the seeds. Honestly, the biggest maintenance issue is the Chinese elms and the amount of leaves that they shed between December and February.
Right. And also I don't know about your Chinese elm, but my neighbor's Chinese elm also shed the seed pods, like a million of
Yes.
them.
Yeah. So it's a
Basically, I could.
double. I'm finally, after 3-4 months, they're done shedding.
Right. Right. Here's a picture of another angle of the dining patio looking back at the house. As you can see, there is a covered patio on the left of the screen. It's nice to have a semi-outdoor, semi-indoor type of patio where you can actually enjoy the garden when it rains. It's great to be out here, when it's lightly rain, so you can smell the rain and enjoy the sound. Because garden in the rain is another environment that sometimes we don't really think about, but when you're in there, you get to see a whole different perspective of your garden when it's raining outside. And here's a collection of plants that B and Tom collect and purchase from the Arboretum or the succulent plant sale. And your dining table, when it's not in use, is a great place to display your fun collection of potteries and plants.
We also rotate these plants through the house. So at any given time, they'll spend a week or two inside the home. And then we put them back out for them to get their sun and be more natural.
Right. And here, a short distance from the dining patio is this pizza oven and outdoor barbecue. And Tom would like to talk about that a little bit.
Sure. We love dining outside. We love cooking. I'm a pretty good chef, if I'm not going to say, but and so I love being able to do stuff and have this equipment that allows me to not have to cook in the house, but cook outside, and it's a lot of fun. For me, it's entertainment.
Absolutely. And another, thing to consider is that outdoor kitchen should be close enough where you can walk into the house and to your kitchen, so that carrying things out won't be such a difficulty. And here's another perspective from the house or from the outdoor kitchen, looking out onto the backyard. Here's a picture of Tom getting ready to bake pizza. Yeah, so with the backyard, again, functionality, treating the backyard as, a bunch of outdoor rooms, and that in turn, you know, allows you to kind of break away from the confinement of, you know, backyard fencing that defines your property line. So the result of Tom's garden is that it creates a sense that there's a lot more to it than just in the backyard. All of the paths turn, twist and turn, and leads you to other spaces that aren't fully revealed from from where you can see from the house. So there's always going to be surprise elements as you go deep further into the garden. And here are some pictures of the before. As you can see, the garden used to be quite sunny. And I want to point out that the picture in the middle is the master bedroom window, and there were two purple leaf plum trees that placed right in front, and that was because during a certain time of days, the sun would shine into the bedroom and heats up the interior. So one of the goals that Tom and Bee mentioned to us that's very important to them is to create a comfortable environment for the indoors as well. So let me see if I can go back to a picture of that area. Oh, here's a great picture of Bee standing in front of that window. And now, during the design of this back garden, I chose two Australian willow trees, fast-growing trees that are also drought tolerant and that are complementary to our native plants and other drought tolerant plants, and strategically place them in the location where they'll shade the inside. So with doing that, you get to enjoy the comfortable environment both inside and out, inside the house as well as in the garden. Here's another picture of the fire pit patio with the coral bells and hummingbird sage lining up along the path. And here's another picture looking back at the house and the dining patio. And here again, a picture of the dining patio and the master bedroom window. And compared to the picture of the before, see how much more cozy and comfortable all of the plants that we planted created a very comfortable environment to enjoy your outdoor living space. Okay. And here again, more bees enjoying the Cleveland sage. Yeah, and so to want to point out that the as a closing statement that your garden really will add a lot of values to your home in dollars, but more important, it will add other values that really enhance your life, like your enjoyment of your garden. It provides a healthy environment, um, and your garden should also reflect who you are, so that when you walk out into the garden, it really just come to life with everything about you that you're connected to. The plants that are meaningful to you, the garden art or sculptures that really resonate everything about you. So that is the way that I design, and um, oftentimes I would again listening to our clients and really understand their needs and their goals and vision, and provide a design that serve as a starting canvas where they can really enjoy and through time putting their love into the garden by putting things that are connected to them, like all the the water feature that Tom built, the succulents and potteries that Tom and B collect and rotate and play around with. So a garden should be something that evolves through time and allows you to have fun with it. Okay? And here's a picture of Tom and B outside their master bedroom in the spa patio. And the picture in the middle is a outdoor shelf that we designed as a part of the spa wall. It served as an enclosure for the pool equipment, but at the same time, it allows you to really have fun with it. And here, B collects these glass baby glass. If you don't know the company, this company is a glass manufacturer that manufacture these colorful glass, and the proceed goes to different nonprofit organizations. So every year, their employees would name the different they name their favorite nonprofit organization, where like at the end of each year, money would go towards those organizations. And according to the latest information on their website, they have donated up to $11 million in the past years that they have been in business. So it's a great company to look into, and it's called Glass Baby. I believe they are based in Seattle. And that is a great example of, putting things that you are passionate for into your garden, so that when you walk out, it resonates with you. It really just come to life with everything about you and your world.
Tom, we know B has been collecting those for decades. Can you tell us a little bit about what sparked her interest?
Sure. My daughter lived in Seattle for a couple of years, and we were up visiting her, and she lived in Redmond, and we just happened to go into downtown Redmond and stumbled across this place, and didn't know how much they actually cost, but bought like 20 of them. Little, they're not cheap, but they were beautiful. And we were trying to figure out what we were going to use these shelves for, and this was the perfect thing. In fact, this is an old picture from 2 years ago. We've added another group of shelving, bought some more, and they're also now in Oakland. So in Oakland, in Berkeley, they have a facility there where you can actually go in and watch them make these things. It's very, very interesting. It's a very, like Isara said, a very worthwhile organization, company, to what they do.
Absolutely.
They have such a lovely weight to them too, and it really creates a lovely glow in that section at night. We have some questions from the Compulsive Gardeners in the chat. Do you mind if I field them to you guys?
Sure.
No, go ahead.
Wonderful.
Oh, and sorry, Jesse here. Just wanted to point out that Danielle is a co-moderator with us and a co-presenter. So if people don't recognize that voice, that this is planned. So Danielle, if you want to moderate, go ahead.
Thank you for explaining that, Jesse. I didn't bother explaining myself at all there. Tom, there's a pink rose in the meditation court. Do you happen to know which variety that is?
It's the only one we don't know. And we now have, they are a very fragrant rose. They produce, it's a floribunda, so they have multiple roses from a single stem. And we actually, after Isara came through the other day, we clipped 3 of them. They're in our hallway here. Very fragrant, but I can't tell you the name.
Now, one thing neither one of you mentioned, I think you mentioned that the roses were Mother's Day gifts. But can you tell the story of how you acquired so many, Tom?
Well, I started with 17 roses and dug out a little plot in the front of the property, tore up the grass, amended the soil, and planted them. They had no watering because the front yard did not have a watering system. And we started growing them. And she was gone for a weekend and came home, and there they were. My wife loves roses.
It's one of the greatest things about standing on your front patio and looking out towards the street is it's like a view of your marriage with all of those beautiful roses lining your way out the door. So another question for you is, how do you keep the gravel from the meditation area, or I'm assuming from the back garden as well, from entering the home with you?
It does not get picked up by your shoes. If anything, the mulch is the thing that gets tracked in. If we have 2 dogs, or like we're babysitting my daughter's dogs this weekend, and they're bringing in all sorts of stuff from the mulch. The stones are pretty permanent. They're angular, so they don't pile up, and they stay flat.
Yeah, I also want to add is choosing the right kind of stone is very important too. Like Tom mentioned, angular type of stone will lock into each other, so to create a stable surface to walk on, as well as stay put, since they kind of lock into each other. And second tip is that always have some type of solid surface in between the gravel patio and your home. We completely understand, a lot of people have wooden floor inside, and you don't want to track any stone into and damage your beautiful floor. So it's important to have that transition between the gravel before you go into your home.
Thank you. Another question for Tom is, what happens when the wildflowers are spent?
So they will go to, depending on the temperatures, but mid-June. I just leave them because, like right now, all the birds are going underneath them because there are tons and tons of seed. And the reality is that I want those birds to eat that seed. Otherwise, next year I will have way too many tiny tips. So you kind of use nature to balance it out, and then it's just left. Because what ends up happening is the roses and the other plants around it during the summer will take up some of that space, and so you don't even know that they were ever there.
That's a great point, Tom. Isara, I know you really work to design things to make that dormancy period or the fade out periods essentially invisible.
Right, and again, understanding the type of plants that you choose in the combination, because if all of your plants bloom at the same time, then you'll have a long period of not being able to enjoy the blooms. So it's important to have plants that blooms during, fall or winter, while other plants sleep. And then second thing is to choose plants that you can enjoy the foliage, that the foliage will provide year-round colors, such as some of the succulents that you see, like the yuccas and the paddle plants. So those are great plants to have to balance out the softness from the architectural, and also provide year-round enjoyment.
Thank you. And I think the last question we have from the chat, and Tom, I promise this is not from me. What led you to hire Isara?
Pardon?
What led you to hire Isara?
I don't get that.
What led you to hire Isara and FormLA?
Why? So when we went into this, it was during probably halfway through a drought. And obviously we were concerned about the amount of water that we were using to keep grass going, and the amount of time I was spending, because I basically let go of the gardener when we bought the house, and he had been here for like 20 years, and said, I'll do it myself. I bought a lawnmower. I spent my weekends mowing the lawn, trimming and all that. And I was like, I don't need that. I just want to have something that, yeah, during parts of the year, I'm going to have to work a little bit, but mostly just to putter around in the garden. And that's really what I have today.
We've had so many great conversations about what your life was like maintaining the garden, as perfect as your lawn was before we started the renovation, and what it's like now. Can you describe that difference a little bit more?
Well, it was, you had, we had grass that went dormant during the winter, so you ended up seeding to keep it green during the winter. You had fertilizing that occurred on a pretty consistent basis to get it that green. And then you had, the watering, which was an expense, but you also had then the cost of, the lawnmower and the gasoline and driving it around, going up and down. And it just wasn't fun. It was work. It was a chore versus today. I every morning I go out with my clipper, I deadhead, I clean up things, but it takes me 20 minutes and I have fun doing it.
Right, working on your garden should be a fun experience instead of seeing it as a chore.
There is such a sweet message from Robin in the chat. She says, I think many of us compulsives have visited your garden on a past tour, but it's so wonderful to be able to revisit it with you and to go deeper into the plants and the design principles. Thank you both so much from all of us.
Thank you.
We would like to thank you everyone again for the opportunity.
Jesse, do you moderate?